Hi, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. So, I live in a small town, and if you live in a small town or a rural area, you frequently know that, well, people talk about food deserts in the city. We frequently have a more unique form of food desert in rural areas. Some people are without stores because they're super rural. I have a store. There's actually three of them, all the same store, and their quality was really bad. I am talking a few years ago, I went in and I was going to buy my kid tomatoes, and they were on sale for a pint of grape tomatoes was $3 on sale. To add insult to injury, they were white and moldy, and they had, like, you know how like tomatoes get like the little black spots and the white mold, and like they're kind of mushy and gross. Every single one of them, $3, big sale. Or they'll sell like their discount rack of expired food is still more expensive than if I were to go to almost any other grocer. Um, I'm over here half the time paying Whole Foods prices. Multiple times I got food poisoning there. Once I had gotten, they had their fried chicken on sale, and you're not paying attention, you're doing two things at once, and you're eating, and it appears to be cooked until all of a sudden you get to the center and it's raw in the middle, like raw, like, and if you cook, the difference. You can look at chicken and know it's raw, and it was like raw, like that center had to have been frozen when it went into the fryer, because it was cooked on the, like, the skin, the breading and skin was obviously cooked, and like the top layer was cooked, but when you got to like closer to like the tender area of the chicken breast, it was raw. Like, if you looked at raw chicken that had never been cooked, like not a little raw, like completely raw. And anybody who cooks or has an ounce of common sense knows chicken is cooked to, I think it's 165 degrees. I always have to look it up, but you want to make sure it's completely white, no pink, well done. You know, that's what it is. And then and then another time more recently, my kid got food poisoning from their homemade sausage. So now my kid, who used to love brats, it was a staple. And I mean, I guess brats are more expensive. So, I mean, maybe, won't eat them. And understandably so. I mean, I mean, how many of us got sick on one of our favorite foods in childhood or as teens and never ate it again? I didn't eat tater tots for like 20 years. Anyways, um, so that was what we had. Overpriced, and I was having to drive. 20 minutes was my closest Jewel. 30 minutes for Walmart, Target, anything like that. Or 20. I think it was 26 minutes actually was my closest Jewel. And then Meyer was 36 minutes. So quite a drive to get to reasonably priced quality food. So recently, a few months back, hasn't even been a full year, we had a Jewel come into one of the towns. Now, I live in like a cluster of small towns in what would be considered the exurbs of Chicago. Um, so kind of far out. And we had just that. I mean, there was another store, but they were so terribly stocked, and They eventually went out of business because they just could not survive because the people who bought the store overpaid, and it was a whole big thing. But because there was no competition, because the only store we had was 3 stores that were the exact same store, just 3 different locations, and then we had like Dollar General and stuff, but um we were in kind of a more unique space. So not a total food desert, but still they were definitely overcharging. And I know they were overcharging because the other locations I would go to of the same store, but in areas that had more competition, the prices were lower, the sales were better, and the quality was better. So go figure. So, anyways, Jewel came in a few months back, and Jewel has amazing produce. They have a bigger selection. They have great sales. I think that's where I got the 99-cent chicken breasts in January, if I remember correctly. Now there's competition, right? So now, because there's competition, that local store is having to do better. They're doing better sales. They have improved their quality. Their produce is much better than it was. They had to step up the games. No leaving stuff out on the U-boat, which is like this cart kind of a thing, outside while you're unloading the truck. I mean, in Florida, we would all work together as a team. We'd pull it off, and like we'd get the cart inside the store and like into the closest refrigerator, freezer, even if it wasn't necessarily the correct fridge or freezer for it. I mean, obviously there were certain things you couldn't do, like you didn't want to put you know, something that would be, you didn't want to put cheese with the raw meat, because of health or whatever. But like they would leave it just sitting in the sun and figure it's frozen, it'll be fine. And that's not how you want to thaw stuff. So like they had huge problems. And now they're forced to do better sales, better quality, because of competition. Competition is incredibly important to us as a whole, as consumers. The more competition there is, and the more true competition there is, the lower the prices are going to be, the better quality is going to be. By not forcing companies to be competitive, we are, sorry, my ankle's hurting. By not forcing companies to be competitive, we are now, and I don't know about how it is in other countries. Other countries might have better protections for consumers, but America didn't before, and we certainly have less now. But by forcing companies to stay competitive, it gives us more options, and it allows us as a society to be more frugal because we're not willing to pay that. And so this is kind of something where we all have to work together. So obviously, I mean, there's times where, so Jewel's open and it's like a lot closer now, and they're open until midnight. Remember when stores were 24 hours? God, all the stores were 24 hours, and now they all close by midnight. It's so weird. So weird, especially to think like 6 years ago, I could be at the store right now. I could be at like different stores. Meijer was open 24 hours. Jewel was open 24 hours. Walmart was open 24 hours. Like, that's 3 stores. So, sorry, I'm off on another tangent. But when we make them be competitive, we all get better prices. So how do we do that? 1, don't just shop at one store exclusively. Just don't do it. Now, don't get me wrong, like I said, Jewel's close to me now, and if I realize I'm an ingredient short for a recipe, for dinner, or like, if I open up the potatoes and they've all turned green or grown sprouts, then yes, I'm going to run to Jewel and I'm going to pay whatever the price is, because I am going to save that in gas or what have you. I've gotten better about it, but it still happens. So I I really do try and shop the best prices and go where the best prices are. Go to different stores, not just one. And I also pay attention to quality, like Cosmic Crisp apples. So if you don't know this, like apples are like, if you plant an apple seed, it's not going to necessarily grow an apple like that apple. They all have to be grafted. And Jewel has the best Cosmic Crisp apples. For some reason, Meyer, who normally has great produce, their Cosmic Crisp apples are mealy. So if I want Cosmic Crisp apples, I'm going to Jewel. And it's just like the weirdest thing. I can't explain it. Meyer used to have good Cosmic Crisp apples. Like 2 or 3 years ago, when I first started getting into them, it was at Meyer, I think. Maybe it was Jewel, but Meyer had good Cosmic Crisp. Now, they aren't. So I go to Jewel. But I also... So I save money each week by shopping at different stores, based on who has the better prices. But it also, people like me who aren't going to just pay whatever price and always go to the same store, are also the ones who are helping to keep things competitive. Because if everybody just went to, let's say, Mariano's every week on the same day at the same time, that's great for Mariano's. They can plan their staffing, they can plan their ordering, and they don't ever have to have a sale. It's great. Occasionally take a nickel off this or a quarter off that, and no worries, because these people are coming every single week at the same time on the same day and getting approximately the same things. Now, if you have somebody who's gonna shop and go to wherever the best sale is, that means Mariano's has to stay competitive. They can't just charge overpriced on everything. They have to occasionally run a good sale or stay competitively priced on something. Same with any store. So a lot of people are like, oh, Chicago has the highest grocery prices. We don't. We have really low grocery prices. If you know how to shop sales. I mean, if you're just going to go and pay whatever, wherever, then yeah, that's going to be higher. But we have great sales. We have lots of competition, especially in the suburbs. Like, for example, in the Plainfield, Shorewood area, on like Route 59, inside of maybe a 6-mile stretch, we'll say, there's, starting out, there's a Target, and then you go about 7 or 8 blocks, and then you have a Jewel and a Meijer and an Aldi, and then you go another couple of miles, and then you have another Jewel, and then a little ways down you have a Walmart, and then another Target, and another Aldi, and another Jewel, and there's also like Tony's down that street and Mariano's. So inside of like 5 to 10 miles, you have a plethora of stores, and that's just down one street. And it's like that all over in that area. So the competition keeps prices low. So in order for all of us to be frugal, don't just shop at the one store. And I'm not saying you can never go to that store. I'm saying spread out your shopping. Shop the sales. Use your coupons. don't go to the same store every time. Now, obviously, I mean, I recognize that there's some people who can't really participate in this because they have to drive an hour to the closest grocery store, and they would have to drive another hour to the next grocery store. And you guys are in the areas where you don't have the competition. And I am very sorry, because that really sucks. But if you have options, if you have competition, go and shop your sales. And you don't even have to go to like all of the stores every week. Choose the store that has the best sales and go to that store that week, or a couple of stores that have good sales. You know, I'm not saying, you have to always get your eggs at Meijer and your bread at Aldi and your steak at Jewel and your apples at Mariano's and, your bananas at Walmart. Like, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is kind of spread your money around. Go to each store, shop the sales, get those best prices so that you're encouraging that competition. Because right now, the deck is stacked against us as consumers. There's algorithms working to price fix. There's all sorts of things. So we have to work together and spend our money wisely. And I think we can do it if we really try. I think the more of us that do it this way and do shop wisely and do spread our money out and don't just say, oh, but I've got to go there because Jane works there and I always say hi to Jane. Switch it up, spread it out, shop your sales, demand that quality. And that doesn't mean you have to go to the manager and be like, I demand quality or I demand low prices, but demand it with your dollars. Spend your dollars at the stores that have the quality, have the good sales, and only spend them on those sale items. Again, I mean, like, occasionally you're going to get other stuff too, but don't just, you'll figure it out. But y'all are smart. I think you know where I'm going, even though I'm really kind of floundering here. So don't shop exclusively at one store if you have the ability to shop competitively. And that doesn't mean that you have to join Sam's Club or BJ's or Costco. You don't have to join a club. I don't belong to any of those stores. I don't shop at them. I mean, honestly, I live in a 400 square foot house. Stocking up like that would not be sensible. But even when I lived in Florida and had a BJ's membership, because like my parents and I had like a joint one, a lot of the time Aldi was cheaper or Publix was cheaper than BJ's. So shop around. Don't just always shop at one store. Don't just rely on your club. Look for the best prices. Keep it competitive. Anyways, again, my name's Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. If you want to hear more, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.